What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package update, daily news, pretty much everything you need to know about on a daily basis, what's going on in our country and in Washington, D.C., money, investing, the stock market, everything you need to know about. Remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos. If you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. Austria just announced that they are going to impose a COVID lockdown for the unvaccinated of age 12 and older just today. Yeah. Austria will implement lockdown measures for all those age 12 and older who are not fully vaccinated against the virus starting today, Chancellor Alexander Schallenberg announced. Around 65% of Austria's population is fully vaccinated against the virus, one of the lower rates in the European Union, where cases are currently surging. Under the measures announced on Sunday, the unvaccinated are now ordered to stay home except for a few limited reasons. The rules will be policed by officers carrying out spot checks on those who are out. The lockdown plan, which was agreed to in September, called for unvaccinated Austrians to face a stay-at-home order once 30% of intensive care beds are occupied by COVID-19 patients. Unvaccinated people are already excluded from entertainment venues, restaurants, hairdressers, and other parts of public life in Austria. Schallenberg told reporters on Friday that the government should give the, quote, green light for the move this weekend, and the aim is clear. We want Sunday to give the green light for a nationwide lockdown for the unvaccinated, Schallenberg said at a news conference in Innsbruck. He had earlier called the country's vaccination rate, quote, shamefully low. This also comes as Australia, remember that was Austria, this is Australia. Melbourne, Australia just come off a 262-day lockdown. 262 days. Wow, that's a long time. Can you imagine 262 days in lockdown? Yeah, so there literally are lockdowns going on in different places across the world. New lockdowns, coming out of lockdowns, different places going on here across the world. My question to you is, do you think something like this could happen in the United States or happen for the unvaccinated? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is this something that could happen in the future? We are having vaccine mandates. They are being challenged in court and are probably going to go to the Supreme Court here in the near future. Let me know your thoughts. Is this something you think that could happen in the future? President Biden is expected to hold the signing ceremony for the physical infrastructure plan later today, the bipartisan, which had some Republicans and mostly Democrats that passed the physical infrastructure package in both the House and the Senate that has already passed.
At the White House, President Biden will sign the bipartisan infrastructure bill. 19 Republican senators and 13 Republican members of the House backed the plan, but most of them plan to steer clear of today's event. Several of those Republican lawmakers have faced serious backlash for supporting the bill. The Wall Street Journal reports on one example. New York police arrested a man last week and charged him with aggravated harassment in the second degree for allegedly making a death threat against Congressman Andrew Garbarino in a phone call on Monday. Only a few Republicans have publicly confirmed they will attend the signing, including Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine. Joining us now, the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Mayor Nan Whaley of Dayton, Ohio. She is a candidate for governor. She is in Washington for today's infrastructure bill signing, and we'll start there. You're going to be there at the event signing, the signing ceremony today. Tell us what you hope this will bring to the people who voted for you, to the people of Ohio, and how quickly do you think Americans will feel the changes of this bill?
Well, I think Democrat and Republican mayors across the country are overjoyed. We've been working to get an infrastructure bill passed for 3 presidents now. And to have it be signed today is a sign that we'll really be able to get to work on some of the much needed roads, bridges, ports, broadband, public transportation that we've been, really crying for the past decade. So it's a great day for Ohio cities and America's cities across the country.
Here is White House Transportation Secretary on how quickly the money is going to start to go out, how quickly jobs will start to be created, and how fast this will start to happen.
Joining us right now is Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. And Mr. Secretary, thanks for being here. This is a big week, and there are lots of questions going around all of this. I think the first question would be, how quickly does this money go out, and where does it go?
So some of it moves out quite quickly because these dollars scale up things that already exist, like the formula programs that help the states build out their highway and road infrastructure. Other things, we're going to have to set up whole new programs. When you talk about how we're going to get those EV chargers out there, for example, or the program to reconnect some of the communities that were divided by transportation choices in the past. That'll take a little longer because we have to make sure that we've stood up the right kind of programming so that the dollars are spent well, so that it's accountable, so that we get the absolute most bang for that taxpayer buck. Let me tell you, our department is already gearing up. We've set up ways to make sure that we are tracking and tracing where those dollars go. We're going to have to hire new people to make sure that we're ready, and we are so excited. I mean, all year we have been preparing for the opportunity to really make these transformative investments in the roads and bridges, the ports and airports, the rail and transit of this country. Now we get the opportunity and, of course, the responsibility to actually do it and do it well.
Yeah, the supply chain has been stretched so thin, and part of that is this old infrastructure, things that haven't been updated. But that's not the only part of the problem. It's also a huge amount of demand. And I guess the question becomes, how quickly can that money fix things? And just by impact of that money being spent and bringing in more supplies to try and fix some of those things, does it stretch the supply chain even thinner in the short term before we can get to that?
So I think we got to be really smart about the distinction between long-term and short-term action. For the short term, you have things like what the president announced in that port action plan, seeing sweeper ships going around to pick up empty containers, this idea of pop-up container yards in Georgia so that if the containers are piling up at the port itself, just get them inland and sort them out there, clearing up the space so that you're less likely to see a backlog where the berthing is for the ships. Those are the kinds of things that can make an immediate difference. When you get to the medium long run, that's where these long-term infrastructure benefits are going to make a difference. Look, some things are going to take a while to deliver. But also, if you look at what most economists think, yes, of course, we're creating jobs, we're creating demand with these investments. They're spread out in a way that, by design, the economy should be able to absorb.
Now, Democratic leaderships maintain as of today that they expect to pass the stimulus package, the American Families Plan, the Build Back Better plan. They maintain that they expect to pass it in the House of Representatives this week. You could see here, Democrats feel they're on the verge of a huge milestone in the House where passage would be a big victory for the party. House moderate holdouts have vowed to support the bill when it comes to the floor this week, even as they continue to wait for the new numbers from the Congressional Budget Office to see if the package will add to the deficit. Biden on Monday will sign the infrastructure bill, $1.2 trillion, into law, a favorite of the moderate centrists, which will make it easier for reluctant moderates to swallow the massive taxing and spending plan, many including Republican Josh Gottheimer, Democrat from New Jersey, and a co-leader of the Problem Solver Caucus, will be at the president's side for the ceremony. Democratic Representative AOC says, quote, Democrats need to reassess their strategies. Quote, we need to have legislation that actually forcefully delivers for working people for this next stimulus package. Moderate Representative Abigail Spanberger, Democrat from Virginia, is supportive of several key elements in the Biden package, tackling climate change, extending the child tax credit, those monthly checks of $250 to $300 that are going to end on December 15th if they can't pass this package, but they want to extend that for one more year. And she's supportive of lowering prescription drug pricing for tens of millions of Americans, but said Democrats have failed to explain how the legislation will help struggling American families. Quote, people are busy. They have jobs. They have lives. They have worry. They have kids. They have joys. If someone turns on the news and hears, we really need to make these major investments in human infrastructure, they say, there they go again. What the heck are these Democrats doing? Wow, what a quote by a Democrat to say that. Spanberger said during an appearance on the New York Times podcast, The Daily. She says, now, if we're saying I want to invest in the next generation of America's children, and I want to do it by ensuring every kid goes to pre-K, preschool, like that's a different discussion, right? And then, of course, the other issue is that with inflation hitting a 30-year high, with inflation affecting gas prices, grocery prices, pretty much inflation affecting everything, even Medicare prices, everything you can possibly think of, Joe Manchin is reiterating his stance on inflation, saying maybe we should pause on this entire package. And this package does have literally dozens and dozens of things that would cut costs on prescription drug pricing, the cost of childcare, the cost of preschool, includes hearing and hearing aid coverage for seniors, could have a potential $800 stimulus debit card for seniors that would be for medical and dental that people on Medicare could use. Does have the monthly checks in there for 65 million children called the child tax credits. If they pause on that, that last payment of December 15th is going to be the last payment, as well as we have multiple different advocacy groups pushing for a fourth stimulus check to be included in there for adults. Also, don't forget that they kind of need to pass this package to extend the debt limit, which is going to be reached somewhere around December 3rd. Because remember that Republicans are saying, and Mitch McConnell is saying, that they're not going to help the Democrats pass the debt limit again this time. That they helped them pass it last time, but then Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer blasted the Republicans, the 11 Republicans in the Senate that helped them pass it, Mitch McConnell and 10 other senators. And then the Republicans said, well, next time we're not going to help you because you did that. And I'm not picking sides. That's just kind of what happened there. And so now the Republicans are saying, we're not going to vote for it next time. So when the debt limit is getting close, which is around December 3rd, the Democrats they have to pass it on their own through this stimulus package. So the Democrats are kind of forced to pass this package before December 3rd, which at this point is only about 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away. But remember, they really need to pass it before then because you can't pass it on December 3rd because that's the day, that's D-Day. They call it the X date. So we're really getting down to the wire here. They have to pass it in the House and the Senate. We have Joe Manchin kind of still a holdout in the Senate. There's still really a lot of unanswered questions, right? Democrats haven't even confirmed if they're going to put it in the package, which they kind of have to. I wouldn't put anything past them because they haven't even announced if they're going to do that. The last thing Nancy Pelosi said is that they'd rather do it with bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats, but Republicans said they're not going to do it. How do we even how does anything get done in Congress, right? Especially when you need support from both sides. It's a miracle that this physical infrastructure package actually got bipartisan support. It's a miracle, you know. So I don't know, man. I feel like in 2 weeks here, this debt limit thing is just I feel like it's just we can see it's like a train wreck coming, getting closer and closer. And like I feel like we were there not long ago, and it's like the same thing coming. And last time they passed it was 4 days to come, but this time Republicans saying we're not helping this time because you blasted us. I had a feeling last time around that it was a mistake that Chuck Schumer did that. Remember Joe Manchin sitting in the background going like this when Chuck Schumer did that, and then Joe Manchin walked out. I kind of felt the same way. I'm like, why is Chuck Schumer doing this? Like normally, I kind of feel like, uh, uh, if I was the Senate Majority Leader, whether I was Republican or Democrat, if I had the other party helping me pass a bill, right? Let's just it doesn't matter what party I'm from. If I'm from one party and the other party helped me pass a bill, I would go over to that party and I would say, "Thanks, guys." Especially if I only had a few people from the other party helping me. I'd go over and shake their hand and be like, "Thanks for helping me, guys." I wouldn't shake the hands of the people who didn't help me, right? But I'd go and shake their hands and say, "Thanks for helping me, guys. Next time around, maybe, thanks for helping me, right? Help me next time around too, right?" I'd want them to help me again and again and again, right? Because they're just like they came over to my team and helped me out, right? But he blasted them, and now it's like, well, I'm never helping him again, right? So I just had a feeling that was a big mistake, and now here we are with this like train wreck coming. The Democrats, here we are, they haven't passed the package, and now it's like, what are we gonna do? Is the country gonna default? We literally can't have that happen. It's not like a government shutdown where it's like, okay, we've had those before. We can't have a default. It's like the government filing bankruptcy. It's kind of that equivalent, right? The It's like the government runs out of money and says, "All right, we don't have any money. We filed bankruptcy. We've gone default." And we've had literally the president of the United States say that Social Security payments might not go out if that happens. I mean, the president has said that. So I mean, what we can't have this happen. I mean, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that this could cost the country $15 trillion if it happens. That's almost half of the national deficit that has been recorded ever. Just if this one fiasco happens, so like it can happen. I can't even stress this enough. And it's just like they really need to either get rid of the debt limits or take the responsibility away from Congress because it's just too much Republican versus Democrat, Democrat versus Republican. It's just too much of that, right? And it's just like Democrats have done this to the Republicans in the past. Republicans have done it to Democrats. It's too much of this back and forth, and Republicans are like forcing Democrats to do it through this reconciliation process, and that's not really how it should be done. It should just be like Republicans, Democrats do it, and they just pass it, and it should just be like extended. And they should either just pass it over to the Treasury Secretary, where right now it's Janet Yellen. It used to be Steve Mnuchin. They just go and they just raise it when it needs to be raised, or they just get rid of it. Because the vast majority of spending needs to go through Congress anyway, so it gets approved that way anyways. It's just this unnecessary problem. We also have on December 3rd, coincidentally the same date, a government shutdown agreement as well. And right now they're already fighting over that. We have some Republican senators that are demanding that border wall funding be included in there. And I don't know if President Biden is going to, because again, it's just Republican versus Democrat. And I just don't know if Biden is going to agree with that, because again, it's just the whole his predecessor and that's a Trump thing versus a Biden thing. I just don't know if Biden's going to agree to that. Whether or not that's a good thing for the country and keeping illegal immigrants out, I just don't think that Biden will agree to that because it's just like that's giving a win to Trump, right? And Trump's probably going to be the one going against him in the next presidential election. So I just don't think that's going to happen. So, but remember, they might be able to get the votes without. I mean, I think there's only 5 or 6 Republican senators demanding that right now. It's just there's just so much going on that it's just like it's a constant battle in Congress right now. Remember, this next stimulus package is going to be passed only by the Democrats Can you imagine if they needed to pass it with Republicans and Democrats? Uh, so I'll keep you up to date here. Um, the rest of today could be a really big day with the physical infrastructure package and the potential of what's going to happen with the rest of the day in the House of Representatives. So I will keep you up to date here. Remember that next video will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss any videos at this point. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. After subscribing, you can click the bell icon to get reminders when we go live with new videos. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And this video is how there's 2 new bill proposals that just came out recently to raise Social Security benefits by several $100s per month. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.